Today's video is about language. This is something that we use all the time and we have gotten accustomed to it, but we don't sit and think about the importance of language as we use it. Let me give you an example of how unimportant language is to communicate. If you were to be in an island speaking to a tribe that doesn't speak your language, you would still be able to communicate because what you're trying to communicate is ideas or notions or needs. And this can be done, of course, with body language, through the voice itself without speaking any specific word that means anything, and you will be able to communicate. Now, the reason why we are so happy about the way we communicate with our language is because it describes things, and we tend to agree with things because we describe things in a way that we can understand it. And this description is about processes that are happening in the world, in life around us. And that's what language is very useful for. But the thing is that over time, for reasons that I'll explain in a little bit, we have come to identify with the language itself and not with the processes. And we forgot that life is about a process and not about specific things isolated from themselves. So when we talk about, say, the wind is blowing, the wind is not blowing itself. The wind simply is a blowing of itself. And you can see how this becomes separate from itself because of the language we use. And we can use this in nature, we have used it in biology, we have used it to define ourselves, and the biggest extent of this is how we have used it over time in our science. Because science is very much interested in explaining how things are composed of separate particles, separate things. This has been the fascination and obsession, actually, of science. And when they get to the bottom of it, they realize that everything is tangled up. So we went through the process of creating a language, mathematics, of course, as well, to describe a process that we knew was all together. Thousands of years ago, it was part of the whole. And with that, we came to see that language is just a way of describe things, but not the thing itself. Because we have identified ourselves with these symbolic ways of communicating, is when we get into trouble to trying to understand our purpose, our relationship with nature and the cosmos itself, because our very existence, our very way of seeing the world is by default in separation. We are having the lowest level of consciousness or awareness of reality, and for that, because of the nature of the creation, you are meant to see things separate, because that's how you can see infinity. You cannot see infinity as oneness, because in oneness you cannot see anything. Everything is. So in the creation, at the lowest level of consciousness that we are, we must see separation. But the problem is not seeing separation. That is, like I said, part of our existence. The problem is identifying ourselves as separate from that separateness that we see in the world. And that's where language over time has become a way of not just communicating, but of describing ourselves, which is everything. And if you can see this, if you can grasp this abstract but real knowledge, then you can start seeing yourself as part of the whole. You are not something separate from nature. You're something that's happening in nature. Your own behavior, your own actions, your own experiences are not separate. They are all part of the same process that we call cosmos, the cosmos ing. It's one verb that is happening. The universe is universing, is just what's going on. and you are part of it. But if we keep seeing ourselves separate, then we're gonna still feel like we're not part of it. And the same word part is an illusion once you know that in the quantum realm, or in unity, as you prefer, we're all entangled together. We're all part of the same thing. So this is how language can make us deceive ourselves that we are not part of nature, that we're something else that needs to find something. And this is where the seeking begins, to know who are we, where did we come from, and where are we going to. Those questions in the end may have no meaning in this sense, because all that's happening is you, and you are part of the happening, or are the happening, not part of it. So if anything, the message of this video is to stop seeing the world so serious, because the world simply is. The whole purpose of creation is just to experience itself, not to find itself. So, in short, just have fun. Are you having fun? Whether we like it or not is part of our reality. And
Oliver roba cámara.
Oliver, vente que te pasa.